GM, everyone. Good
Yeah,
morning. How's everything going?
good. This is well, we're on our 12th episode. Crazy.
Crazy stuff. I can't believe it. 12 episodes in. And today we have a very exciting panel on about ComicCon and Web3. So we're very excited about that. It's a power pack show, so we're just going to jump right into it, I think, just let's get going. But first, let's hear a quick message from our chairman.
What is discussed on the GM show is not investment advice. We may or may not have ownership interests in the projects we are talking about, but this is not investment advice in any way, shape or form. And this is not Sir David Attenborough.
Karen, when you hear the word San Diego Comic-Con, what do you think about it?
Oh, it's like packed with like cosplayers. Well, it's basically the biggest event.
It
We
is.
we usually cover it on our 9gag social medias. Like usually we have like all these like crazy cosplayers and like with like moving stuff around them. And it's like very innovative actually. So it's like it's basically it's like the biggest thing.
Yeah. Have you ever cosplayed before?
I did actually. I was like a Naruto cosplay once before, but I'm not like a big cosplayer, obviously. But then I would love to see like people doing that.
Okay, awesome. So let's just talk a little bit quickly about the history of Comic-Con for some people don't know, the San Diego Comic-Con, or it's more known today as the Comic-Con International. It started about in the 70s as a comic book show, but in the 2000s, it started to add in video games, movies, TV shows. Movies started showing up, became a big pop culture conference, international one. I was just looking at eBay during the week. I didn't go this year. I usually go every other year. I was there last year. And I see like tickets going for $1,000 on the secondary market. There was a G.I. Joe action figure that I really wanted. That was an exclusive there, and Hasbro was giving away these tickets to get it and redeem online to buy it. And the ticket itself was going for $50, and the action figure I think was like $40, right? There were about 135,000 attendees over the 4 days and one preview night. This is all last week. Just that one of our guests launched G.I. Joe there. The comic book, relaunched the comic book in 2001. And back then there was only 53,000 people at that point. So over 20 years ago, it's crazy. They don't have a tally on this year yet, but I'm sure it's in the 130. I think they keep it at 130 because of the fire marshal, stuff like that. For perspective, just to some numbers of other pop culture shows, like Consensus in Austin this year had about 15,000 attendees. E3 when it was on had about 65,000. The Coachella Music Festival has 125,000 people. The Tokyo Game Show is about the similar size at 138. New York Comic Con says they got 200,000 people. And today in Hong Kong actually is the Anicom ACG HK show, which runs for about a week. The tickets are pretty cheap. They're like $5 US to get in. But there's about 200,000 people will be attending that. That's a lot of anime stuff, video games. Are you going to go to that? We're going to that, right? We're definitely going to check it out. Just in case you haven't been to Comic-Con, we made this there's a great videos. I'll link to the person who made this amazing video, but basically walked around San Diego. There's a lot of cosplay, crazy cosplay. There's a lot of obviously the booths. There's Legos there. Look at this. The crowds look crazy. The big story about this year was that Hollywood is on strike. So a lot of the movie stars, TV stars were not in attendance. But it seems like that because they weren't there, it pushed everybody into the actual show floor. And I heard sales were great. But let's talk to our guests and see what they say about that. But as you can see, it's not just only comic books anymore, movies. There's anime. Comedy Central has a booth there. Of course, the cosplay is like a massive thing. I don't know how people can walk around in some of these outfits all day long, right? It's just crazy. Look at these lines. Yeah. So it's amazing, right? I guess we definitely have to go next year because so much Web3 stuff was there on the show floor this year. It only get bigger because of the connection of the audiences, right?
Yeah. It looks amazing.
So crazy to see all this stuff. So I'm going to post up this thing. If you haven't seen it, just go to YouTube. There's tons of videos of people walking through the thing, looking at the toys. And look at that. That's just insane. So and the idea was that I guess it really spotlight on a lot of the comic book people, which is, the comic book people are super excited to have that as the focus again, more than the Hollywood people, the lines. People sleep outside to get a seat in Hall H, which only holds 6,500 people, to see maybe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe announce a new film or the movie stars come on stage. So that way it generates a lot of buzz, and why a lot of people want to go there and see what the latest thing is. But a lot of news broke from the whole thing. So it's very good. Definitely let's talk more about it. But now we're going to bring on our guest panel. This is the first time we've had so many people on stage at the same time, but we wanted to get a different viewpoints of how Web3 was in attendance. Last year I did I was there, and so I want to definitely check up with these guests, what's going on this year. So let's bring them up.
Hey.
Hello.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Hello.
There's
Thanks
like
for
the Cap Cup
a lot
Club. We're all wearing
A lot of
caps.
guys with hats on.
Oh, nice.
Karen, why don't you introduce them? Because it just seems bad. It's just a bunch of guys with hats.
I know. Well, thanks for joining, guys. Well, we have Carl Choi, we have Josh, we have Star-Lord, we have Matt, and we're just gonna start as like a panel here.
Yeah. So why don't we start? I don't know how everybody's seeing this, but I see Carl next to me. So Carl, why don't you introduce yourself and what 24/7 Comics is?
Yeah, so my name is Carl Choi. I'm the publisher and co-founder of 24/7 Comics. We are the new home for creators, and we call ourselves kind of the next chapter for comics. Basically, we're a shared publishing platform and content studio, and our focus is to pump digital culture into comics, basically giving new life to an industry that is, I think, in need of innovation. ComicCon is awesome, and so I'm excited to talk more about it.
If you remember Carl, he was on our Azuki episode a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm a Web3 maxi, so
We won't talk about that right now. Okay, Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
What do you do, Matt?
Quick intro. My name is Matt Billfield. I am at Blockchain Creative Labs, which is Fox Entertainment's blockchain Web3 startup.
Cool. And you're producing the Krapopolis NFTs, which we'll talk a little bit more about in the thing.
Exactly. I'm here representing Krapopolis, which has been a fun project that we are finally going to see on air coming soon.
Nice.
Henry Star-Lordy from Oni Force, how are you doing?
Good. Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy to be here.
What you're in Japan right now, I understand.
I'm in Japan, yeah.
So you went from Comic-Con San Diego, got on a plane, and flew to Tokyo for the WebX show.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was like 6 a.m. I left on Sunday, and then flew to Japan, and then got in at 2, and then just went to work. But it's been good. It just ended, so it was a really good conference.
What is Oni Force for people who don't know?
Oni Force is the first anime PFP project on Web3, and basically created the whole anime meta. And now we are fulfilling the original promise of it by developing comic books, and we have really transformed into like a media technology company centered around anime IP.
Nice. And last but not least, Josh Blaylock, how you doing?
Hey, Casey. Good to talk to you again, and thanks for having me. Yeah, so it was a slow week for Henry, based on his usual schedule.
Yeah,
I'm the founder of Devil's Due Studios, Devil's Due Comics. We've been a traditional comic book publisher for over 20 years, and to my knowledge, there is nobody else in the entire comic book industry that is all in on Web3 the way that I have been, even predating Web3 into crypto. And but I mean, I've just transitioned over the years from a lurker in the crypto space, and have now been able, thanks to NFTs, transition into this. So I work with I work with Pixel Vault on the Punks comic and worked on the whole Adidas partnership there. Work with Wicked Craniums on some event stuff that they're working on. But with Oniforce, I mean, that's our comic book partners, and we're going to be releasing the Oniforce comic books throughout the world, throughout North America, every English-speaking country, and more. Yeah, so excited about that. And we were at ComicCon together.
Nice. And there's a bit, I don't know if you were, I just saw you didn't move for a few minutes there, but I hope we can definitely hear you. So that's good.
Okay.
I just want to also shout out to Josh. If people don't know, but when I think most of us, when we were young boys, we loved G.I. Joe from Hasbro. We watched the cartoons. We read the Marvel comics. Obviously, like anything else, like Star Wars, it dies, disappears. And then when you get older, you want to get back into it. And Josh went over the top with his love of G.I. Joe, went to Hasbro, got the license in the year 2001 when they thought it was a dead brand, and brought it back to comic books, released in Image Comics, brought the whole team back, brought back Larry Hama, if everybody remembers Larry Hama, the writer of the comic, to start bringing back the G.I. Joe franchise. Pretty amazing how long ago that was. And so very OG about that comic market. Okay, so it's great to have you guys all here. I guess let's just jump right into it, because I know some of you don't have the full hour with us today. But first, how was your reactions to ComicCon this year? I guess we don't need to dwell on the strike and stuff like that, but Hollywood wasn't there. How's the show floor that you guys saw? And then, what did you see in the Web3 space? If you had a chance to walk around, I know some of you are in and out quickly, but some of you also get stuck at a booth for the whole 4 days. Maybe Carl, let me start with you. Like, what's your vibe on the whole ComicCon this year in terms of the Web3 aspect of it?
Yeah, Web3 wise, I mean, we were piggybacking a booth at DCD. Doug is one of our studio badge holders at 24/7, and he had a big booth. He does these like mystery boxes. And right next to us was Coolcat, and they had a full-on photo moment, and they were basically on the same mission we were, which was collecting emails and just building community. And so we also saw the folks at Pudgy, and I think they were just really smart about just being toy sellers, and they were just selling their toys. And then stopped by Oniforce. I think just seeing you guys at a very legitimate Comic-Con booth. For us, we were really just there to engage fans and meet new people, introduce ourselves as a new indie publisher. Mostly it was boothing only when our artists and creators were available. So Sean Chen, who is the designer of the modern day Iron Man, worked on Batman, Wolverine, as well as Mickey Finnegan, who runs this channel called Swaggle House on YouTube. Both of them work with us as creators. And so we're really just there to promote them and what they're doing.
Did you have any freebies or any NFT drops there at the show?
We had no one's, I mean, first of all, everyone I named, I don't think anyone said anything about NFTs on your booths. I don't know if you guys had something that, we had a free PO app that you could scan for it, and like there was zero interest. And so we pretty much just focused on collecting emails, and which is fun. We collected a good number of emails and basically kicked off our newsletter today. We thought it was also a really good time to rebrand ourselves. So we fully relaunched our website. So there's like free comics on our site, digital reader, and it's just a very easy way for people to engage with us. Okay. As far as Web3 goes, I think VB obviously had a giant presence. For those of you guys who don't know, I think they pretty much sponsor Marvel's booths these days at the big Comic Cons. And so their name is like right next to it. So I thought that was really fun just to see that level of presence. And it's just almost an eventual matter of when type of integration that's going to happen into mainstream. So that was cool. Otherwise, Web3 wise, I think, brands were there that we recognized, but not everyone, I don't think anyone was trying to, put NFTs in front of anyone during this con.
Interesting. So Matt, let's talk about Krapopolis. Krapopolis is different. It's an animated series on Fox TV, co-created by Matt Harmon, the co-creator, he's the creator of it, but he's the co-creator of Rick and Morty. Everybody knows Rick and Morty. Last year, I was at the show, and Krapopolis had a massive presence. It had a giant banner on the side of hotels. It had a huge booth. You had a big panel at Hall H with the cast and the crew there. It was exciting. And this year, you're in the show quickly to actually debut the first episode. Talk a little bit about, and I remember last year we had a conversation about you guys are on stage. Can you mention the word NFT and stuff like that?
Yep.
So really go over for us, everybody to listening, like what was your experience there with bringing an animated show from a big company?
Yeah, so different focus this year. So, last year we launched the Crap Chickens, which is the Krapopolis fan pass experience that it's our Web3 experience. And we kind of launched that in tandem with, ComicCon. We used that as the timing and had the panels and everything to discuss it and discuss the show and introduce the show to people. This year is a little different because now we actually have an air date for the show. It's September 24th on Fox. We have the lineup. It's actually going to be sandwiched between Simpsons, Bob's Burgers, and Family Guy. So Sunday night spot, got the football lead in. And it's going to be part of that animation domination lineup. So the focus this year was really on the show, making sure people knew what the show was about. We did have the Omni wrapped again, the outside and the inside, and it had some bits of Krapopolis, but also a lot of our other properties. So we did do a really fun panel, or it was I wouldn't say panel. It was 2 episodes that were previewed to the audience with an introduction by Pete Michaels, who is on the crew of the show. Obviously, we couldn't have some of the talent, as everyone knows, but the response was great. We like to say it was one of the largest toga parties that's ever happened at Comic-Con, because everyone who was in the panel got a toga T-shirt and a gift bag, and have some great photos and got some great laughs with the premiere.
What is the utility of the NFT, the Krapopolis NFT that you've launched? It's to call the Crap Chicken. It's actually a chicken, right? How many are there, and what is the? Do I get to watch the show early, or am I in the show?
So it's kind of like the ultimate experience for the super fan. So when we launched it, obviously, like all NFT projects, you kind of launch it with this roadmap, and nothing's built. And then we spent the last year building, and we're still building. So there's a couple of things that are like the main features of the project. Number one is the show voting. So far, we have had, I believe, 10 or 11 votes. So everything it's usually a vote where you choose between 3 different things, and it's actually something that will take place in the episode. And the 2 episodes that were screened, one was, it had I think the world's best grandpa that everyone voted on, and another one was choose the fish gorgon, which was this kind of mythical half human, half creature thing. So the voting is really cool. So if you own a Crap Chicken, you get to vote on things. The next one is we have animatics in a screening room. So it's kind of the black and white clips of how the story is unfolding, and the sketches before we actually do full color and full edits. So been showing some of those. We have the Crap Chickens lay an egg every day into your wallet. It's an ERC20, and those eggs allow you to go into our store, which is called Shopopolis. And so far, we've sold digital products for eggs where you could upgrade your NFTs, change the backgrounds, add frames, and spruce them up. We have a lot of new features coming there, but we're also going to have, this is probably the first time we're announcing it, which is some good alpha, but we have physical merch that we're going to be launching in the store in exchange for eggs, which is really exciting. And the biggest one, which was limited to 2 people, is 2 people who own Crap Chickens got written into the show as background characters, where they submitted their photos. Our artist sketched them, put them on. One was given away as a scavenger hunt, skill-based contest, if you will, on the website. First person to finish won it. And then the other one was auctioned on OpenSea. It was on the homepage and everything. And I think it went for about 3.1 ETH, which was really cool. So that's a little bit of what we're doing. A lot more coming. The other big exciting thing that I'm dropping here for the first time, tomorrow, we are releasing Crappy Chicken, the game. So that's going to be another fun way where people can earn some eggs, earn discounted mints, and participate and have some fun.
Awesome. Okay, Henry and Josh, you guys better have some alpha too to drop, because I don't know, there's a lot of drops there. Josh, you and I were at San Diego last year at the kind of at the thick of NFT world, and we were talking about like where was all the Web3 stuff, where was all that happening. But this time, not only did you bring a table, there's all these other big projects there. What did you see on the show floor as compared to last year?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it wasn't a lot different because, Vivi had the spot. And really, I mean, we were the difference. I mean, bringing in like everyone you have here. I mean, it's, I think like Henry was saying, like really for my focus, it's on the long process of the next year of getting all, this series out and keeping it going and make sure it's distributed across the world and everything. But like for the Web3 side, it's like the delivering on the promise. So now, it's doing different things at once. But I think that's what, like with the presence itself, this is sort of the part where we're proving, all of us collectively, this is a real thing. We are delivering on what we said, and we are putting out the books. And, and I mean, more and more, we're just going to all continue to chip away at all of that. It is funny that like Carl said, like Vivi being like right there with Marvel, and they almost seem to not know that's an NFT thing. But, it is like part of it is still the resistance from the comic book side and from ComicCon itself still being weird about, allowing you to actively promote any of that. So, we're here, we're all doing it. We're all legit, like releasing dope, new products. And I think we had a lot of really cool stuff going on there on the Oni side. I think Henry's probably the one to really, to really
last year. Another thing that they don't show in those videos is that upstairs, there are a lot of panels happening. And I feel like the panels are great because not only can you launch a pilot to an audience and then talk about, movie stars and stuff, but there's a lot of education that goes on there, like how to break into the comic industry, how to meet editors, things like that. Did you see any Web3 type conversations on panels happening?
To my knowledge, they still won't allow you to do that. I think they have I don't think they say it. I'm not sure because I didn't review every panel, but they, I know people last year that tried to do that and they're like, no. New York, and it's always sort of been an unspoken thing across all of the Comic-Cons, not just San Diego Comic-Con, but all of the ones that Reed Pop owns, all the ones Fan Expo owns. I mean, you're talking about 50 different shows across the country that have at least 50,000 people going to them. So, and that's just been, the way it is, as silly as that seems to be, because it seems like it's like anti-education. There's usually that's the thing of like, literally since I was like 18 years old, I go to the cons as a publisher. So I don't ever get that much experience unless I'm on the panels, but there's a lot of great stuff that goes on there. It is hard not to talk about the strike because on the comic side, we were all just loving the fact that like it was like an old school giant San Diego con, and like the vibe was so great. The all couple 100,000 people didn't seem like they were rushing as much as normal to get everywhere. They were actually like enjoying the books. I hope that has a positive residual effect for years to come.
Oh, Matt, you guys just raised your hand there. There's a dog in the background. Carl, Matt, you guys raised your hand when you're talking about having panels with the word NFT in there. Talk about what you guys saw or what you.
Josh is right. There was like there is an active shadow ban on anything NFT related. So we were actually invited. So one, we had been invited to 2 other panels, and then ourselves had applied for one, and the 2 of the other folks that basically invite us on panels had much smaller names and had much subtle topics that were like honestly like they were surprised that those got accepted and ours wasn't. And so one of our collaborators is Daniel Wu, and he was going to come through on one of the panels, and literally our panel was put on waitlist, and so we're like super surprised. And so what we realized was, when you go on our website, one of the things it did say was NFT, which is gone now, but it did shadow ban us for a long time. And so that was a big thing. But speaking of panels, I think there was one, I wasn't there, but I read about it. TJ Miller, he like appeared via Zoom on like his new show, Fortune. And it was like an interactive series where he is basically playing SBF. For those who don't know, it's the founder of FTX. And basically this show apparently has like an AI companion game that comes with the show. And I think that's probably as far as Web3 goes when it comes to being on ComicCon panels.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah, same experience. I mean, ComicCon is very prescriptive with, what they want you to do and how their event is orchestrated. And NFTs are still, on their, I guess Carl put it well, their shadow banned list. So, I think that, if you allude to it, or if if they exist on your website and you direct people to your website, that's one thing, but, you can't have a booth that's a big NFT sign. So, it was really for us about trying to, get the show out there, let people know the show is coming. And then for the people who are already in the community, we offered some, some VIP experiences that, we're excited to get some people, to experience.
Right, amazing. Henry, OniForce had a booth there. Josh was there at your booth. I saw some cool AR stickers you guys are giving away. What is your vibe of the show and because you are doing comics and it's anime comic stuff. So this is your audience right here. Are they perceptive to just the comic side of it? When you start saying that there's an NFT behind it, do they walk away? Like, what's the vibe there for you? I don't know if this is your first time there or not.
This is my first time as an exhibitor. Actually, it's the other way around. We were at the Devil's Due booth. Not they weren't really at.
Oh, okay.
It was really more of a collab, but it was really great. I mean, nobody asked about the NFTs. I don't think actually the audience there, unless you like literally put NFT on the like banner or something, like they're not going to ask, and they're just looking at comic book content for what it is. I think they were definitely pretty excited about the AR and kind of extra like experiences that we're adding to our comic book materials. So that was pretty fun to see the reactions, and realizing that, after all these years that most comic book publishers are still not doing any type of experimentation with technology or like extending the storytelling experience in a way was to be expected, but also like good for us, because like especially like the kind of taste test is like having like kids come up to the booth and then showing them the AR and all that stuff, and them actually like genuinely being excited by it and being like, whoa, like what is this? Like, why is this so cool? And like just seeing their faces light up was like really awesome. And then just seeing how they react to the IP itself was great. So I think that, overall it was a fantastic experience. And I think once the comics start coming out and they're actually in stores, and the fans get to like really show off on social media, like these kind of extra layers of storytelling, I think hopefully we could start changing the narrative around NFTs and blockchain and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, like it's just about, I always say fun is a utility. It's like the ultimate utility in a lot of ways, and so the average comic book fan doesn't have hundreds or thousands of dollars to spend on, digital collectibles. So, we want to make them free and just make them fun. And I think like if we could really show the world that, it'll change the narrative, hopefully.
Interesting. So, I mean, it sounds like, and it was the same last year, like Marvel, people are looking at the VV stuff. They don't really know that it's an NFT, but they know Spider-Man, they know the Avengers, they know those characters. So it feels like they're easier to buy a digital collectible around that, right? And Also, that was just announced that week was McFarlane Toys is doing digital toys as well, right? So he does the licensed product for Batman, all the DC characters. Plus, he's the creator of Spawn, so he has a lot of this stuff. They're launching digital collectibles on the Palm network, right? So they're already doing the DC comics. They're doing, I think they're doing Hero as well. Heroes, or they're doing their own trading cards. There's a lot of DC stuff out there. So it seems like DC is actually licensing it out to other things. What do you guys think about that? Having seen these kind of big public comic publishers, Marvel, DC, getting into it, do you think that it will onboard people into this, or do you think it's just like they don't like? I think Josh mentioned like they don't even know that it's that's what it is, and they don't really care, and they're not going to like get into communities and stuff.
I like to think that people won't. I'm sorry, Josh.
Oh no, go ahead.
We overlapped.
No,
yeah. There's a little bit of a challenge, right? And we've faced it, for the last year. Is that you kind of have two groups of people. You have the people who understand and know NFTs and have purchased a lot of NFTs in the past and have a certain expectation. And then you have the other group of people who you're trying to get to buy their first NFT. And there's a difference in their level of knowledge in terms of the technical process, their expectations. You have, traditional Web3 person who's willing to buy in early and watch you build. And then someone who's more traditional, and has never done it before, they're going to want to buy it and instantly have access. And they're going to want to pay in a different way. They're not going to understand gas. They're going to want to pay with a credit card. So, a lot of the stuff that, we're focused on is trying to, bridge that divide, try to provide different ways for people to pay, throughout this year. The technology has improved. We've found easier ways to get people to allow people to purchase using credit card and, custodial wallets or social connect wallets rather, through like, Web3 Auth. So, really continuing to push. And I think it does take these big companies like Fox and, and others you mentioned to, continue to push forward and allow people to get that familiarity they need to take their first step into this world. So, I think the more people hear about it, the more they see it, the more they experience it, the more willing they are to explore the new tech.
Josh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Josh,
Yeah, I was going to say, I think part of it too is like, because we're specifically talking about the Comic-Con connection, comic books themselves are a medium of passive entertainment that you read. And then there's collecting, and probably no other form of entertainment has such an association with collecting and so much overlap. So you've got people that just want to read the comic books and they don't want to be interrupted with anything else. They don't care about the value, whatever. Then you got people that collect the books and read them. And then you have people that only care about collecting them. And there's probably not much more of a street form of entertainment that has more overlap where they are both readers and consumers and collectors. So I think with NFTs, we've been talking for so long about how you're going to be able to flex that, like you had this thing from way back when, and everything that gets into sort of like, that's definitely more collector focused. So I think we haven't been around long enough for people to really start to be able to like get something that was one of these, one, deliver on the promise of what you said the NFT was going to give you with this storytelling and building this world, then having it be around long enough for people to really fall in love with it, then having the masses fall in love with it. And then finally, the person who was there in the beginning, all the NFT OGs that are collecting it, then they can flex and they brag about, being there. I liked it before it was cool. I had this, the value's going up. It's gone through that whole cycle. And with that said, there's also like the magical ability of some of this tech and actually merging the tech with it. We can go back and retroactively give people sort of benefits too, after they have read it, after they sort of feel like they've used it for its consumption purpose and they're just holding it. Now we can like put Easter eggs in there. We can like activate things again and make them pull out those old comics and go through them again and sort of like relive the experience with them all over again. And we just need, we all collectively as a space just need time to execute on all that.
Agree. Carl,
well
I have the
No, that was
Batman.
interesting.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna piggyback
Go
real
ahead.
quick, just what Josh is saying, and just kind of also what Matt was saying. There's like some hard divides between the crowds. There's the kind of traditional audience, which is more pop culture collectors, that comes from the comic book space, very Web2 or like traditional physical space. There's kind of like the centralized licensed brands, which is like the VV Palms of the world, where I feel like Marvel and DC are kind of like hands off. Hey, like they're doing it, we're not doing it. You know, they're the ones that's doing the NFT stuff. So we're trusting them to do it. And I think and I think there's a third piece, which is like the Web3 maxis, right? I think folks that are like big believers in decentralization and true ownership. So I think a lot of us kind of belong to that group. And then I think one of the advantages of folks like VV is they have kind of lasting provenance and legacy from the old collecting world, meaning they could drop a Incredible Hulk 181 and you could go and search CGC and find how many slabs exist, and then they would basically say, oh, because I don't know, only 7,000 slabs exist, and then there's only this many in certain grade, we're only gonna release 700, and this is gonna be super limited. And so because of that, there's credibility in why there's value of those digital collectibles. I think that's kind of an advantage. And I think Josh addressed a lot of that, where I think in time, as our kind of Web3 provenance builds, and people can actually reference to, oh, hey, like they actually deliver on what they said they're going to do, or hey, like this had X value because this comic told a certain story. I think we'll then get there in a place where we'll be a little bit more accepted in the kind of grander scheme of things at a convention like San Diego ComicCon.
Yeah. Like imagine if you could go to like the new Ninja Turtle movie dropping soon. You could go to that literally because you owned one of the first black and white Ninja Turtle comics, and you're still getting perks from it today. I think that's the fun stuff we're going to be able to do.
And we're actually, it's funny you say that because that's kind of our thinking as well. So like for the first group of people, we actually put like an OG stamp on their NFT. And, we don't know exactly what that's going to do in the future, but, that's pretty much said, like, these people were here from the beginning, or like the little upgrades that we're doing, they're a snippet in time. We're not re-releasing them. So like you have a moment where you could update the background of your NFT. That's going to be a moment in time where only people who are there at that moment could do that. The rest of the people won't have that opportunity. So, it is kind of playing with the idea of, taking that collecting into, another dimension and playing on, the fan communities and what interests them. And it is a lot of experimentation because, very diverse group of people who are paying attention to this right now or aren't.
Right. I have a question for I have a question for all of you guys. Like what is like the most exciting thing you would see in the future for NFT crossover the comic book scene? Maybe Car?
Yeah, for me, I think NFTs and comic books have a lot of parallel. One of the things is in the 90s, I mean, comic book industry was like a multi-billion-dollar industry because X-Men #1 sold like 8.2 million copies and stuff, and a lot of it has to do with speculation and story and art. Those three things coming together was what really drove that market. And if you look at the NFT space, there's a lot of similarities and parallels. I think the art and the speculation is there, but I don't know if story has ever been fully implemented. I think there just hasn't been a good opportunity for storytelling to really get groundworks, because often what you see in NFT projects are basically Kickstarter stories, right? Imagine like a bunch of Kickstarters that never delivered. That's basically what happened with the NFT bull run, right? 99% of Kickstarter campaigns did not deliver. So everyone's gonna be mad, everyone's gonna give a certain reputation to the NFT market. But I think the hope is over time, there's gonna be more trust established when certain NFT markets actually come and tell a story that's groundbreaking, that's adapted to a studio where, someone like Matt, who's kind of watched the different stories are there. He's working on a big IP right now, but he could also then identify other IPs that he could bring up to Fox, and it gets optioned, it gets turned into something, right? So I think when that starts happening, then it'll start giving more of a legitimate voice to things. I'll give you guys a quick highlight and thought was, I don't know if you guys were able to see the Marvel panel, but the Marvel panel announced a bunch of new characters that they're bringing out, right? They have the Uncanny Spider-Man, which is Nightcrawler as Spider-Man. They have the new Punisher, which is a new S.H.I.E.L.D. agent being a Punisher with the same story as Frank Castle. They also have the superior Spider-Man, which is Dr. Octopus as Spider-Man, and then the last one is, guess what? Black Widow as Venom. So like, I don't know if that says anything more than them running out of ideas than anything, right? It's almost like their IP is almost this, there's nothing new coming from the big two, unfortunately. And I think we all sense that. Like I'm sure we're all movie fans here. We love Marvel movies. We love Marvel TV shows, but I think there's a serious constraint in the ability to produce original ideas now. And so it does give us a lot of opportunities to take our IP and bring that forward as, the systems are in need of content. So what's up, Ray?
Hey, GM, good morning.
GM.
Josh had to go, so we brought up Ray instead.
The switcheroo.
Ray, are we doing comics at all? What are you thinking of this conversation so far? I know you've been listening to it.
I think my biggest question is, I always kind of have doubts on how the existing IPs, right, will embrace the NFT technology. Right? I think the biggest question is for them, because I think the origins, right, of Web3, right, when you go to Ethereum.org, right, basically it talks about ownership, it talks about decentralization, right, and I think most of the traditional brands and IP basically they're the opposite of that, right. I mean they hold the 100% ownership. They also don't want to decentralize, right? So for them, selling, launching an NFT is usually selling digital goods, right? It's actually not giving you the ownership, right? I always feel like that is the biggest, I would say, discrepancy between the current Web3 crowd and the big brands, right? Basically, they don't really want to give out more, right? For example, okay, at best, it's almost like they just want to juice or the milk more from the existing IP instead of giving more value, right, to the buyers who actually buy the NFT. I think that part is something that I'm bullish on. All the new Web3 IP that is trying to do something, right? Because I think the starting point is very different, and I think that the why makes all the difference. Yeah. So of course, at the end for the Web3 IP is okay. Even if I support you, how actually what actually do I get, right, in the long run, right? Because I think we are a creator, so somehow we understand that okay, there are many things that we don't know. That's why we create a lot of placeholders, right? But the motherfucking community doesn't have enough patience for that, right? I think that's the issue, right? Because in this world, I think a lot of people, they just think that okay, 1 year is too long, right? 1 month is too long. Right. And if we all have this kind of unrealistic expectation, it's almost impossible for anything to be built. Right. So I think the questions that we have to answer for the big brands and also for the new brands are quite different. Right. Yeah. So I actually don't have any answer for that. Yeah.
I think Matt can answer that mostly. He's working on it.
Yeah, I could speak to that quite a bit.
I like this mix, right? I think there are new brands that are also existing brands.
That's a tough one.
So it's interesting, right? So, you look at Fox and they are absolute experts at marketing a show. They know exactly what they need to do. We have a new Dan Harmon show coming. I was in a meeting 2 days ago with probably 80 people, and it's a full launch meeting for Krapopolis. And it's like a potluck where everyone's coming to the table with like, this is what I'm doing to launch the show. And everyone is working together to get this show out there, right? And we're kind of one piece of that, where we're there, and we're not going to be able to change the way a legacy company has been doing it for many years. But we're coming and we're pushing things forward just a little bit and saying, hey, can we take this experience that is a television show, has always been to sit back and lean back and watch the show on TV, and can we take it we're not going to totally change the entire world in a year but can we give the fans more of a connection? And does that let them peek behind the window at some animatic clips, let them vote on something in the show, and let some people get written into the show as a background character. Once we get there, now the doors are going to continue to open, as more people come into the community and more people are interested, we need to walk before we run, and there's a lot of legal challenges and a lot of things that we're trying to get through. Even with our crap eggs, they have to be non-transferable. There's like very specific guidelines as a public company you have to navigate, and our legal team has been absolutely incredible in not saying no to a lot of these Web3 requests that other communities have had the luxury of doing. They've said, okay, we can't do it that way. Let's figure out a different way to do it. So, for example, we can't just give an airdrop to someone randomly, because that's an illegal lottery. You buy something and then you get something. You have a chance to get something. That's illegal lottery. So they walked us through the process of creating skill-based contests so that we can have a way to distribute things based on fandom. So, to your point, this idea is brand new, and it's going to be a process till we're fully integrated. But we're on the path, and we're chipping away bit by bit, and and we're proud of the accomplishments that we're making, and hopefully paving the way for some of the other IPs in the industry to do the same.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think the biggest question as a holder is when, right? How long, right? Will actually be something, right? And how long, right? Does my investment, quote unquote investment, will get back the money, right? I think. By the way, I totally understand the way that you do is how you work with big companies, right? But the thing is, for big companies, right, to them, okay, if it doesn't work, just scratch that, right? Oh, we try something new, right? So for them, the cost is very low, right? But for the team that works with them, basically, it's their everything, right? So for example, for Blockchain Creative Labs, right, that's 100% of your business, right? For Fox, maybe like 0.01%, right? So for them, oh, if it doesn't work, oh, sorry, Matt, right? We work again next time, right? But for you, basically, you lose your livelihood. Right, so I think that part is the burden of a creator in the space, right? And to be honest, if you look at all the big cultural or technological changes, right, I always try to bet on the new team, right, who is quite brand new, instead of just betting on the existing team. They're hoping that they will have innovation, right? By the way, this is just like a very general statement, right? I'm not saying that the way that work with big IP doesn't work, right? I think that can work, right? But I would say that if I have to bet on, who will lead the next Web3 comic movement, right? I bet that is a new team creating new IP instead of Marvel or DC Comics, right? Trying to do something new and then can change the world. I think at the end of the day, their success is also their burden, right? Like what you mentioned, right? Oh, anything that they do have to go through the compliance team, have to go through the legal team, have a meeting of 80 people, right? I think any meeting that's more than 8 people is basically inefficient, right? So I think stuff like that is kind of like bugging me. But of course, I'm biased because I don't work at a big company, right? But I feel like this is maybe the opportunity, right, for someone who can actually bridge the two world, right? I think that can be very, very exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I think the corporate side, the legacy side is what's going to hold things back, because as we know in Hollywood, I think chain of title is key. And I think that's also why you don't see a lot of the centralized projects per se get made in film or TV, because there's nothing to option and license, and you're exposing yourself. I mean, the biggest thing is exposure, right? I mean, no legal team is going to want 10,000 individual owners to be exposed to, hey, you're taking my character and putting it on screen. So I think that's probably one of the biggest risks. And then 2, I do feel like it's got to figure itself out from the ground up, because I don't think the Marvels and DCs of the world, their IPs are designed to be Web3 compliant. Not to mention, I mean, it took them years to like claw the characters back. Even right now, they had to work a deal with Sony for Spider-Man, and God knows when Spider-Man will ever let go, unless maybe Disney buys Sony to get Spider-Man back. And there's still Hulk over at Universal, so they're like everywhere. And so I think that legacy is not really going to allow us to exploit in the same way that traditional Hollywood does. And so I do feel like there's going to be new ways of how community can build IP from the ground up. But even for myself, like from the very beginning, I had also questioned this. And that's why if you kind of go to 24/7 Comics, we've always been and marketed ourselves as a IP agnostic company. I see ourselves as more of a platform. I see ourselves as producers. And I feel like when IP actually gets traction, then you think about what that decentralization means to that particular IP. Because I don't think you could actually take an IP in that way and move it into a Hollywood system, because there's always going to be that challenge of provenance. So yeah, I agree with Ray when it comes to how you have to design from ground up.
I think the other part to add there is scale, right? You need people in the space, and you need more than 10,000 people to finance some of these projects, right? If you look at, Krapopolis, for example, each episode is millions of dollars. So, you're talking 3 seasons signed, or before the first episode's aired. I don't know the exact numbers, but, they're in it deep, right? $50 million or however much, is in it, right? So in order to recoup that through an NFT sale and give people proper ownership, you would need thousands, not 10,000, 10,000, you would need 100,000 people or however many people to finance that, right? So, I think that there's, this divide between how do we get more awareness, and maybe it's the big companies chipping away at it, and how do you have some of the new innovative startups doing some things from scratch without all the red tape. But I think it's going to be a combination of all these things that kind of create the mass awareness needed in order to have the technology become more household. But yeah, a lot of great points from everybody here.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe the format, right, has to change, right? For example, if making an episode costs $1 million, right, then probably we should not release an animation series on TV and stuff, right? Probably just do something on YouTube, right? I think that's the flexibility that a new team needs, right? When we talk about budget, when we talk about how much money it costs, right? I think at the end of the day, we should not compete, right, with the existing giants, right? What they are really, really good at. Right? We should be competing with them on something that they can't do for whatever reason. Maybe legal reason, maybe compliance reason, maybe they are just big and slow. Right? So I think there are many ways to try. Right? I think the common issue that we all face as a creator, as an NFT, as a Web3 creator, is the lack of patience from the community, right? Especially when they pay money first, right? I think it's very weird, right? Because I'm in our Discord all the time, and some of our holders, right? They actually were very supportive in the beginning, right? But after some time, when the floor price fluctuate, when some of them may be over invested, they just become very grumpy, right? It's almost like it's almost like, yeah, I should not make an inappropriate joke. So, but anyway, it's just bad, right? And that kind of like discouraged the team a lot, right? Because to be honest, right, we've already facing a lot of issues when we work with outside parties, when we try to build a brand. But when your original supporters, right, started to FUD you, right, started to kind of like think that, oh, you suck, right? I think it's very discouraging. And to be honest, even if we, I understand why a lot of teams, right, after some time, right, they just say, fuck it, right, the community, it sucks, right, let's go to raise some funding from some investors, right, because for them, they give you money, right, I don't really have to report to them, but somehow they get 20% of my company, right, that's why it makes sense for me to report to them, right, to discuss with them. For most of our holders, right, they don't even own 0.01% or something like that, right? But they feel like, okay, they are your boss, right? I mean, somehow they are in certain sense, but actually, a lot of the times you can't explain the whole vision for them, because even if you tell them, okay, we are doing something at ComicCon, right, then they will also ask more questions. And then even after the ComicCon, they will say that, now what, right? The floor price doesn't move. Does it mean that you suck, right? Then so it's almost like many questions, right? So I feel like the biggest potential change in this space is basically this so-called bear market, right? It all kind of like reset the expectation, so people will feel like, okay, it makes sense, the price should be lower, it makes sense. It takes more time to deliver. It makes sense to play with less speculation, but with a more product and more utility. Right? You can't expect, okay, you will get like instant 10x return in 2 days. At the same time, you demand the team to deliver, right? At the same time, right? If I actually can deliver all the things, why would I let you enjoy all the benefit right now? Right? I think risk and return somehow may not always go parallelly, right? But at least there will be some risk, there will be some return. And I think that's the interesting part of the current NFT space. Yeah. But meanwhile, I think we are all greedy, right? We all want everything. We want the 10x potential growth. We also want utility, right? We also want speculation, and we also want connection and communication with the team. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. What do you think?
Ray speaks the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, he's, you know, you've lived it. You know, I think we all share similar, you know, experiences in this space, you know, having navigated it. And there's a lot of truth to what you said, you know, and I think that there is, you know, I think that, you know, people buy the NFT and then they expect a lifetime of utility. And, you know, it doesn't get delivered overnight and they get upset, or, you know, they are trying to protect, you know, their investment. I think that the tough part is, you know, kind of separating the experience out and saying, you know, we're selling a fan experience, right? And what you're getting is this fan experience and the access to the things that we've provided. You know, I think when people come in and, you know, it's all about floor price and what is the value. I mean, it changes the narrative away from what the intention of the project was, you know, but that's kind of an element that exists within Web3. So, you know, again, kind of coming full circle to the beginning of the conversation, it's sort of bridging the gap between that customer who has been there from the beginning and is a Web3 buyer, and, you know, that person who comes in, you know, right now or a year from now and doesn't understand, you know, that mindset, and how do you bridge all these different, you know, interests and personalities.
Yeah, I think
one thing.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
One thing I do. One time I got in trouble because I made an analogy. I said that people who buy NFTs are like, if I went into McDonald's and bought a Big Mac, and I thought because I bought the Big Mac, I could storm into the CEO's office and like slam it down and be like, what's in the secret sauce? Like, what are your quarterly returns? Like, what's your plans? And then somebody like said, so you comparing us to McDonald's customers? And I was like, But one other thing I have to say though, which is a counterpoint, is like, if we don't want to have those expectations on returns, why are we selling NFTs for thousands of dollars to start with? I mean, Azuki just dropped a thing for 2 ETH. That's like almost $4,000. That $4,000 is a lot of money for people. Of course, they're going to think of it as an investment, because you don't spend $4,000 on entertainment. Like a comic book costs $4. So if I spend $4,000 on a digital collectible, I do expect a return. I do expect everything, because anything else in life that I spend thousands of dollars on, I'm going to have high expectations for it. So I do think when it comes to the collectible part or to the NFT market, we have to start separating like, okay, this is a collectible that could be more valuable later. And then this is the thing where fun is the utility. So shut up, you know what I mean? Like, just have fun with it, right? Like again, the average comic book fan, you know, I remember going to the comic book store and I might have money for one comic book, right? Like I would have to pick the one comic book that I want to go home with, right? And it was like $3, you know what I mean? And like the average anime fan, they watch guess what? They get their content for free, right? It's on TV for free. And so I think like the problem I see with this market is that there are too many projects that were not really honest about what they were. And so they created that speculation and they created that expectation, and they made all these, and Uniforce was one of them, to be honest. Like when the project launched, you know, it was initially an art project. And then when it blew up, all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're going to do comics. We're going to do a metaverse. We're going to do, like, they started promising everything, and they had no idea that they had no capability to deliver any of it. So obviously the price went down from 70 to like 0.2, you know? And so it's like, I think it's kind of like, Unfortunately, the market's not very sophisticated, like you're saying, Ray, like in the sense of expectations and all that stuff. But then also we need to diversify like how we present these projects and like what to expect out of it. Like Azuki to me is a luxury item, right? Like they could charge that because they presented that from the beginning, right? But like for Uniforce, like when we start doing our comic book NFTs, like they're going to be really cheap. And if anybody complains about the price or anything, I'm just going to ignore that, because like there's no reason for us to cater to, you know, like you're saying, like every single person in every way, you know.
Yeah, you can. And like Henry and I have spent like stupid money on comic books. We talk about it on Twitter DMs, but I think it doesn't give us the right to go like knock on Tom McFarlane's door because Spawn wasn't pumping over this last season. And a lot of times when people talk about NFTs and they say, "Oh man, like how's your bag?" I'm like, "Okay, how's your bag of stocks? How's your comics?" Like everyone's bags are messed up right now. But I think it's very unfair when people look at NFT because it has less legacy and less history to it all, right? So I think there are still exceptions, like we mentioned, like McFarlane got to launch his digital collectible, like BB still got the big booth. I think there are still acceptables that are happening, which for me gives me a lot of hope that I think over time, as some of our IPs start gaining more grounds and some of the stories start getting out, and there's more established, maybe acceptable Web2 models that people are, monetizing on, then these kind of NFT Kickstarter campaigns will get more trust over time because we're not now pitching these like pyramid schemes that was initially our product, but hey, you can buy this and make us so much money, and we're not over promising anymore, we're just delivering. So I think that's the hope, that this bear market flushes out a lot of that nonsense and brings serious builders around. And I think most of us who are around really believes in technology and sees the future.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to flush it out. I think, we repeat the same mistakes over and over again. As soon as the bull market comes back, people are going to just do the same stupid thing over and over again. It's like as if it never happened. And, I think you see that with the stock market. You see that with every
penny stocks.
So yeah. Let's just enjoy this moment while we have it and try to I think what it's about in this bear market is more about resetting expectations within your own community, making sure that they buy into that. And then when the bull market comes back, like I guarantee you there'll be a million projects promising the same nonsense and, a lot of money being thrown down the drain again. So that's just my personal opinion though.
Sad but true. No, it's very a lot of truth to that.
I think that's the same, right, for most of the industry. I think even comic books, right, the traditional industry is kind of like that, right? Of course, we can name Spider-Man, we can name all the Avengers and stuff like that, right? But there are also thousands or even millions of comic books that was going nowhere, right? And you can't even name them, right? I think that's part of the evolution, right? And in a way that it's healthy. It's just that it sucks, right, when you are the holders, right? And somehow you feel like, okay, I placed a bet and then I was wrong, right? I think for people who understand that, I think they don't mind that much, right? Because they enjoy the experience. Right? They feel 10 years later, 20 years later, right? And then you meet your old friends and then you talk about, oh, that was a good show, right? And then it sucks, right? Yeah, that's how I always talk about Lost, the TV show, right? It started so great, right? And then I was lost at the end, right? So it's kind of like that, right? So I think right now, it's a very interesting time, right? And I think we are all learning, right? As a team, we are learning, right? As a community, we are also learning as well, right? But it sounds very, very dull. It sounds very pessimistic, right? What are the really, really exciting thing, right, for you to build comics using NFT, right? Because I think like a lot of the experience that Matt just mentioned, right? I was thinking, can we do it without NFT? I think maybe some of them actually can, right? Then what's the unique part that we have to do it with NFT? For example, even like voting and stuff, right? I think you can just call a number to vote, right? Or you can just do a Twitter post to vote in real time. You actually don't need a NFT as long as I follow your account. Somehow I'm kind of like involved or participate in it, right? Why do I need an NFT? I think this is also the question that a lot of people are asking. Hey, it seems like NFT is just like an answer, looking for the problems, looking for the questions, right? How do you guys answer that?
I think it's a double-edged sword for the technology because I think we believe in it, and so does the folks who are buying it. When people are holding the bags, they're seeing royalties being distributed every time they trade, right? And so I think that's like the major difference why we don't chase after the creators of Spider-Man for anything, because we bought that comic because we love the story. But when we buy a XYZ NFT and we see a 5% royalty we're paying towards the creator, which obviously now it's like less of a thing, but I think with the new contracts, we're locking that in, right? People are gonna have expectations, and I think that's kind of the double-edged sword that we have to deal with going forward. And so, yeah, I think if anything, we're gonna have to figure out how to reset expectations in a way that, hey, like we're only getting this much, so don't have this much expectation, have this much expectation. And I think that's basically the journey we're all going through now.
I think it still comes down to the original idea of, crypto and blockchain technology, which is ownership, right? Like if I go and I subscribe to the LA Times because I want access to certain content, if I no longer want that subscription, like I don't get my couple bucks a month back. I'm just out. If you are token gating things with an NFT and someone changes their mind or they decide to do something else, the ability to transfer that ownership to someone else and recoup some of their cost and say, hey, you know what, either I made money or I lost money is irrelevant. I'm now transferring that ownership. I mean, there's something to that, right? I think we all are here for a reason. We all see the potential, and it's kind of up to, to us as an industry and as experimenters and innovative folks to test out all these use cases to really land on what the best one is for each of these projects.
I know we got to change royalties to service fees, because people don't mind paying a 5% service fee, but they mind paying royalties.
Right.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up. We're coming to the hour, but I just want to know from Carl and Matt, are you guys going to be at ComicCon next year? Are you going to be doing New York ComicCon? Do you do any other shows as well? And do you recommend other Web3 creators to be attending at these shows as well?
Pretty sure that we will be at all of them. So not quite sure what we're doing for New York ComicCon. Imagine that we will be at next year's ComicCon. And
yeah, no, we're a peer, 24/7 comics publisher. We're our whole thing is building a foundation for tomorrow's pop culture. So as much as wherever the market is in Web3, it doesn't take that away from us. So me personally, I try to go to as many cons as possible. Some of the key ones would be like San Diego, Emerald City, C2E2, like some of the main core ones. A lot of times I go there to hang out with the creators and really build with them, because I know most of them know what I do, and I think a handful of them are willing to work with me. But I do feel like one day I could probably convert some of these superstar artists to finally see the light and understand that this is the future, because I do feel like at some point this world is going to have to integrate. And we are the rebels in a way, where we're bringing something new to the table and we're actually giving fans true ownership. So yeah, I'll be at all the cons, man. And I'll be doing something very similar. Like we're at this con doing what con, companies do, is to give out exclusives. So we had our San Diego Comic-Con exclusive of Genesis #1 as an Ash can. You remember those, right, Casey? Growing up, it was like Ash cans are like the throwback thing. And so we had such great reception. Like people came through, they read it, they came back the next day and got a sign. And then, they would be genuinely excited about what we're doing. And we had it free online for people to read. And so for me, anyone can find anything online for free now. So why don't I just put it out on my website? I think that's the easiest way. But you have to be at San Diego Comic-Con to get this free, Ash can. And so I think at the end of the day, we're still going to engage the audience at where they're at. But I think the community building piece is going to be very different. We're going to be a lot more selective in who we kind of bring into the circles. But we want true collectors, we want true fans, we want true supporters of the creators that we're supporting, right? And so I think community building is going to be a lot more intentional moving forward.
Amazing. Awesome. Great place to end it. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Josh. Thanks a lot. And Henry, thanks for coming on. We'll hopefully see you guys in real life again soon, if not at ComicCon next year.
Yeah, thanks for having us, and great connecting with you guys.
Later.
See ya.
Thank you.
Ray, What did you think of that? I mean, this is not really your world, so I wanted to bring this in. This is my world. This is how I even got into the whole NFT thing, was onboarded by a comic book NFT by a creator that I really admire. And so I don't know if this is enlightening to you. Is this something interesting? Because, you know, you're like the complete opposite of a lot of what this stuff is happening. But the mechanics and the kind of audience is very similar. And, you know, onboarding comic collectors or collectors of anything seems to be very similar.
Yeah, I'm more like a manga fan, right, or anime fan. Right? I think I grew up, born and raised in Hong Kong. Right? That's why I think I see more Japanese comics, right, than Western comics, right? Yeah. And I think, but somehow I think when you zoom out and look at how the two different industry have been going, right? For example, like manga and also comics, right? You understand that in general, I think the Western groups of creators, I think they are usually more innovative, right? Because I think the whole system is more well established, right? Okay, if you create a good IP, you can get sold to make animes, right? And then after that, maybe even movies, right? Meanwhile, in Japan, I think it's still pretty localized, right? I think, and of course, for Japanese culture, is in general is kind of like internalized, right? Instead of just going out and stuff. Not to mention, more people speak English, right, than Japanese, right? So I think all those things that kind of like make the difference, right, in the long run, right? But I do believe that when we talk about IP building, right? I mean, we talk about, okay, ComicCon, this is like the event of the year for comic fans, right? Of course, when you look at them right now, right? But when you look at them, how they started, probably they suck as well, right? I think we have to remember how bad we were, right? In order to encourage ourselves, right? Look at Comic Cons, right? When they first started, maybe only 100 people went there, right? Look at Google today, right? Of course, it's like a 100,000 people company, right? They have beautiful headquarters, all kinds of perks and stuff, right? But when they started, they were at a garage, right? I think as a builder, as a creator in the space, we have to look at the giant, right? But don't look at how big they are right now, right? Look at how small they were, right? I think that's the biggest encouragement that we can give ourselves. And if we can find a small group of people, like 100, like 1,000 community members who actually believe in us and are willing to support us, right? When we were still working at a garage, I think we have actually a pretty good start, right? Because of internet, because of Web3, it's easier to get funding, it's easier to get support, it's easier to do the promotion and stuff. So I think all these things are actually what makes me bullish about the Web3 model. Right? Of course, if you look at what we have delivered comparing to what all the existing giants deliver, right? Of course, it doesn't work, right? When you look at a baby, of course, any adults can win a fight with them, right? But the baby will grow, right? And some baby are actually really, really smart, really, really successful, right? And have great parents, right? That's why they can become very successful in life. I think we have to change the perspective so that we don't get disappointed too easily, right, on one hand, but also we get encouraged on the other hand. At the end of the day, how many years is NFT around, right? 2 years, 4 years, right? How many years have comics or manga been around? Maybe over 100 years, right? It doesn't make sense to compare them right now, right? But I think when you look at the trend, we actually have a very, very strong start, right? Because in this age, it's not that easy to get people's attention, right? If NFT as a category, or if a project, right, as one of them, actually can get attention in such a very noisy world, I think we actually have a pretty good start. So I'm bullish, right? It's just that there will be frustration, there will be challenges, but in general, I think all the things when you zoom out is actually very, very good.
Karen, did that conversation get you more excited to go to the Anime Con here in Hong Kong?
Yeah, of course.
Talking about that, right? That reminds me when it was first started. Anime Con was just like part of the book fair. Right? And then all the nerds who actually in front of the line, right? They all rush in rush in
Right.
and then to buy all those toy swords and then toy weapons and stuff like that. People
Yeah.
laugh at them, see them as losers, right? But right now, Anime Con, right, is basically its own event, right? I think we really have to zoom out and have a different timeline. I think we can be greedy, but we should be long-term greedy, right? So I think all these things, when you're old enough, you understand it, right? But in the NFT world, a year is too long, right? A month is too long, right? So I feel like how we can look back, celebrate the small victory on one hand, but also continue to work hard and deliver on the other hand. I think that part is actually very important. Yeah, I think really excited about anything that seems like useless, right? But suddenly get a group of supporters. Right? I think usually those things will blow up. Yeah, it just maybe not 1 month, 1 year, right? But as a category, it will not go away. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wow, what a show.
What a panel. Yeah.
What a panel. I hope it worked. I hope everybody heard it and had a good time listening to it. But we do want to show off our sponsor, but we forgot to put at the beginning of the show.
Okay, let's hear from our sponsor.
Sponsored by X. X is the future state of unlimited interactivity, centered in audio, video, messaging, payments, banking, creating a global marketplace for ideas, goods, services, and opportunities. Bye-bye, little bluebird. X is going to be the everything app, and I'm not Elon Musk.
So it's not Elon.
It's not Elon. Didn't we just have an ad for Threads? Now we're joining another social network.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it's X now.
It's with X now. Okay, Karen, we ran over a little bit. I think we should just close it there. So we're gonna go to the Anacom show this weekend. I'm gonna try and find a time when it's not gonna be like crazy busy, and just take a look and see what's happening. There are a lot of anime stuff there, cosplayers, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's good if you're in Asia. There's that show here, and of course, I'd actually like to get some anime manga creators on the show and hear from their side. Like, what are they doing in Japan specifically? Since there's a big Web3 push. I mean, that's one question I forgot to ask Henry. I wanted to ask him about what his experience is like in Tokyo. Like, what did he see? Because he must have seen a lot of anime manga stuff going on over there too, right?
Yeah. Love to hear the creator's perspective.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Just wanted to say thanks to all our guests tonight. This morning, and the same. We'll be back next week, same meme time, same meme channel. Stay tuned to GM Show Official on Twitter to find out who the next guest is. We got a lot of great guests coming up as well, covering all types of different stuff. So, that's great. We'll see you again really soon.
Thank you.
Hi, Karen.